I just remind you guys the same stuff that you always hear me say, which is please don't go on the internet to try to look at radio sites, internet radio, and basically non-work related websites. The reason is not because I have a problem with you guys listening to radio. I don't. I wish there was a way that we could do that so everyone could listen to the radio. The main root of this is that anytime that people are doing that, all of our offices are linked together. We have 5 offices now. They're all linked together. All of them share the same internet feed, if you will. So we can have one person in one office that's doing something that can bring all 5 offices to their knees. Now, you guys have all had that happen. I know it because I've taken calls from almost everybody in the office here where, for one reason or another, you were unable to access some various websites, or it was slow. Slow is a big one that I get a lot. We just upgraded our internet connection about 2 weeks ago, and the usage has, it seems to have increased to compensate. The biggest thing that we can do is just avoid going to those websites and having programs running on your computer, like music sharing. Basically, it's just music. Anything that's not work-related actually impacts the office. It'll prevent you guys from working. It'll make you guys irritated, because you'll be trying to work and then can't. You'll have something to do, and then you'll try to call me, and I'm going to say there's something wrong with the network, and I have to hunt it down. I have the tools to go in there and figure out where the problem is coming from. That's not instantaneous. It takes me time. So, and I don't want to play cop. I mean, you guys don't want me to play cop. If we can just get everybody's cooperation in doing that, then we'll be good. And frankly, just for the record, majority of the time it's not you guys. So you guys have been helping me out in that area, and I appreciate that. So continue doing that, and I'm working with the various sales managers to try and encourage the agents to also play along, if you will. But that's really where I need the most help, is just staying off the internet radio and downloading stuff. That will help so much in your guys' ability to basically use the tools that we've given you in order to do your jobs. So there's not a whole lot more to the internet portion of this than that. A couple other things too is your passwords. This has been a kind of a thorn in my side. It may seem like pretty harmless thing to do, where if somebody, your buddy next to you can't get online, they can't get into the whatever thing they need to do, so they're like, oh man, you just type in your password for them. If that's what you need to do to get by, I don't have a problem with you typing in your password, but don't give away your password. The reason that's important is because occasionally something bad does happen, and I have to go dig in and find out where the problem occurred. And a lot of time that is tied to your guys' names that you're logging in with. So if you've given somebody your password, they've logged in as you and did whatever, I'm going to see in the logs that maybe it looks like you did that, Paul. Paul's usually the culprit anyway. So do that anyway. So anyway, just don't share your passwords. And then Goldmine, you know how open Goldmine is? Just stick to your own stuff. Just do whatever you need to do to get the job done, and stay out of other people's stuff to the extent that it's within your ability to do so. That's really all I have on that. So you want to
there's 2 things I want to chat about on this, and it is important. And this is a challenge for us, especially the internet stuff. Frankly, not so much for again, if you can't, I didn't even know this. How many people do we have on our payroll? 38? 35. Okay. Good God. Got 35 people. It just scares the heck out of me. Now, on top of that, we've got 150 or so agents on top of that 35. For the most part, and I mentioned this in yesterday's meeting, I'm not going to go into it today because it just sounded terrible, so I won't say it. But for the most part, most of these paid staff, salaried staff, hourly staff is pretty good. On occasion, it's your lunch break and you're shopping for shoes on Nordstrom, is a silly example I continue to use. I would prefer you didn't do that. It's not really the end of the world, and it's really not the problem that Brian's describing. The problems that we have on occasion, I can't remember the last time it happened, and frankly, normally it's done by a receptionist at the front desk. At least that's who we seem to track this back to. And they have totally innocently gone to a site or opened an email, not a goldmine email, a personal email, and they've infected our system, or they've loaded us up with some sort of spyware which just drags the system down. It's a problem, okay? Now on the flip side of that, which is a challenge for all of our sales managers, our agents expect to be able to come into the office pretty much anytime they want and do whatever they want on their computer. And you know what, on the surface, pretty reasonable expectation, okay? They're independent contractors. We don't tell them when to come, we don't tell them when to go, and we more or less have allowed them to do that. But the real estate world is a lot different than it was 2, 3, 4, 5, or certainly 10 years ago from a technology standpoint. And one of the things as it relates at least to the internet usage, and we've had these issues. Brian's put on some filters and put on some things, and all of a sudden someone goes to ESPN or whatever, and says, oh, I can't get in anymore, why do I want to work, why do I want to work here? It's a terrible place, I can't check my fantasy football or whatever it happens to be. The intent of what we're trying to do is not to stop, and again, I'm more talking to our sales managers now than I am to the staff, but we're not really trying to stop our agents, whether they're top producing or whether they're in the fourth quartile. We're not really attempting to stop them from doing that, but we're really attempting to do what Ryan said. We're trying, our agents and staff expect that we have a reasonably fast, if not very fast, internet connection. And one of the only ways to ensure that is to, and who's ever even listened to the radio over the internet? Okay, there's 3 or 4 of you. Okay, I don't even, up until a few years ago, I don't even think you really could do that. Okay, now you can do it all the time. The problem is some of us that are maybe a little technologically behind are now going to realize, hey, I can listen to the internet on my, or listen to the radio on the internet. This is kind of cool. And I can sit at my desk and I'm not bothering anybody, and we listen to, KFI or KISS FM, or maybe you got a subscription to Sirius and you want to listen to Howard Stern. And the reality is I don't really care about that as long as it doesn't impact your job, but it does impact the ability for us to operate as a company. One of the bigger concerns on only radio, and this is, I don't know how many times this has happened, Brian will shout a number out here in a minute. The system just, matter of fact, it's kind of happened yesterday. I don't know if we realized what the cause of it was, but sometime yesterday afternoon, about 2 o'clock, our internet went from smoking to almost unusable, and Norm's nodding up and down. Almost 100% of the time, somebody, and it's probably not staff, but somebody within our 35 employees and our 100 and some odd agents is on iTunes, downloaded a movie, listening to music, or downloading something that frankly has absolutely nothing to do with the business at hand for that day. And the problem is now there's 185 people who are now impacted, who are now all screaming at Brian saying, come on Brian, internet, this place sucks. Well, I can get internet, And it's like, well, guess what? You need to scream at Suzanne over here, because on her lunch hour, she decided she wanted to download the newest movie release on iTunes. And is that a bandwidth hog?
Yes,
It's a bandwidth hog. You can't do that. So we're just really asking for a lot of cooperation in that. I know this is a big problem, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Agents are going to feel like we're handcuffing them and we're restricting them and we're big brothering them because they're going to go to a website and it's going to say, how come I can't go here anymore? Our intent is not to throw wet blankets on people. Our intent is just to keep the office humming and running. And if an agent needs to get, this is 100% of the time, it's not a big deal, if they need to get to a site that is not going to bring our system down, they shoot an email over to Brian, or they click the little box and says, hey, I need to get to my YouTube channel, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. And Brian unlocks it. So sure, our intent was not to block it from that site. But anyway, it's a big deal. I could go on about it for hours. The second thing, and I'll be a little quicker on, is Goldmine. Pretty much everybody in this room uses Goldmine, right? All of you? Anybody in here not using Goldmine?
You haven't taught me yet.
Okay, well you're logged in, but you're
Yeah,
you're
I've gone in
still
there to play around a
stage.
little bit.
Okay, are we skipping ahead?
No,
This is the end? Go
no,
back to
no,
the slide though.
This is,
Go back to the previous slide. This. This is a problem. Okay? If you're familiar enough with Goldmine, most of you have been using it long enough to know, Goldmine it's the proverbial postcard, okay? You know, the role of the postcard, don't write anything on a postcard that you wouldn't want somebody to read, just, you know, put it in the mailbox and on its way to the sender, it can go through 1 million people and they can see it. Goldmine is a postcard, Goldmine needs to be a postcard, Goldmine will always be a postcard. Having said that, we have had issues over the last several years, with nobody in this room, of course, where people use the postcard to investigate what their colleague is doing who maybe sits 2 chairs down from them, or to investigate what sort of communication may be going on between myself and another agent, staff member, whatever it happens to be. That's not what Goldmine's about, okay? And for whatever reason, and it's a bad, you know, we're going to end on a really good topic, but this has been a sore topic for me over the last, certainly over the last year or two, because I'll exchange some comments with Paul, which, by the way, I will tell you, there's nothing in Goldmine that I don't have a problem with anybody reading, so I guess I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth. But if Paul and I share some candid comments within Goldmine, and maybe some of those comments have to do with the performance of the property management staff. Okay, well, hey, we got a problem. Someone's not getting the phone calls returned. And if somebody else within the staff happens to read that and look at that and feel like they've been personally attacked, that's the problem. And it happens a lot, okay? So basically what we're talking about here is, in order to work here, you got to do what? Use Goldmine, okay? It's really important. It's how we work, for better or worse. This is how we collaborate. So I would just ask that everybody respect that. You know, there's no need, for lack of a better description, to be hunting and pecking through Goldmine in areas where you don't need to be hunting and pecking. Okay? And ultimately, I find out who's hunting and pecking. And if it doesn't have anything to do with your job, the only message you're sending to me is, you have too much time on your hands. So, at any rate, is the last slide Goldmine? Is that, or did we skip ahead? Or are we going to do a wrap up on Goldmine?
You can skip ahead. You can.
Okay, let me just finish my Goldmine, then you guys can finish your thing. You know what? Goldmine's working pretty good. You know, for all of the challenges, and there's a few of you that are newer. Kevin's been struggling with Goldmine. He's new to it for the last couple of months. Sheila really hasn't completely been acclimated to it yet or gotten involved with it. But guys, Goldmine is where it's at for us, for better or worse. Okay? If you are struggling with Goldmine, you literally need to raise your hand and say, I need help. I'm in the life raft. I'm adrift. Okay? Because one of the ways that I plan on moving the company forward and uniting and, you know, getting all of these things done is through truly the full implementation of Goldmine. Everybody needs to be engaged with that program, literally all day, every day. Now that's a little bit of an overstatement for some of you because the managers aren't going to sit in front of their computers all day, but some of you are. Some of the rest of you are. Janet, for example, you're in Goldmine from the time you get there to the time, right?
Yep.
All day, every day.
Yep.
And I love it. I know exactly what Janet's doing at any given time. At any given time. It's perfect. So anyway, enough about Goldmine. You guys have probably heard the speech now. So I'm turning it back over to Erica.